Your mom texted you. All right. You ready to do the intro?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Many months later.
Yes, we are back and we are prepared to decorate.
You can see that.
I had this like cute little heart cake mold and I put red velvet cake mix in there and they're supposed to be little hearts. I think you can kind of tell.
We'll put frosting on and
It'll cover everything up anyway, and it will be beautiful still.
Yeah.
She's a better artist than me, so I have faith in you that this will still be.
Do shapes of hearts.
So today's video is the part 2.
Yeah.
To the original video we had. Was that last summer?
Yes. For Pride Month. Didn't you say the next one would come?
like the next week or something. Mm-hmm. It's been a little bit of time. And in the last video, we talked about like growing up being queer in Alabama and just kind of shared a little bit of our personal stories. And now it is time to share coming out. I asked on Instagram for y'all to send questions and y'all really did be sending me some questions. Some of them are very personal. So I love how she's like spicy. Some of them are a little spicy. Some of them are like a little emotional.
Also how we met.
Yeah, which is
out more how we met.
Yeah, a lot of like how we met questions and just like how I knew that I liked Melanie and vice versa and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, we are going to bake a little bit with you. We're also going to, we have some strawberries. So we're going to do chocolate covered strawberries. And while we do that, we're going to divulge a little tea. Okay, so I made for the first time some homemade cream cheese frosting. And we're not that fancy around here. We didn't get any like piping bags. So we're just gonna use good old butter knives. We've got some very high class pink Betty Crocker decorating icing.
Betty.
And rainbow sprinkles, cause
why not?
Pride.
You could use the Christmas ones if you want.
We could use Christmas. Every day is a holiday with you.
Christmas, Valentine's, it all kind of runs together in quarantine.
Yeah. I gave you a little sweet compliment and you didn't really.
I'm talking about.
I said every day is a holiday with you.
That's sweet.
That's very sweet. Okay, so the first question that we will tackle, how did you know that it was the right time to come out? And I guess this question can be like also a little bit of a story of how we came out as well. Do you want to go first?
To me, I don't think there is a right time, especially if you're waiting on a time to feel more comfortable with it. I don't know that fits with a lot of the stories I've heard, and definitely not mine. You just kind of have to pull the plug sometimes, but it does need to go at your own pace too. I don't think it went at my own pace.
Yeah.
I was 17 and I basically got to the point where I was really tired of hiding everything. It's really uncomfortable to lie all the time about what you're doing, where you're going, what friends you're with when you're really not with them and all that. So it just, for me, got just overwhelming, too much. And so I was 17 and I came out to them, and the way I did that was I basically told them that I had a girlfriend, and the conversation did not go well.
I think you coming out wasn't so much like this was the time that you had originally planned that it would happen. It was more like there was a heated discussion and it was...
Yeah. So long story short, I didn't talk to my parents or my family, really, anybody in my family, for 5 years. And 2016 was the first...
5 years is so long.
Yeah, long time.
So basically all of your undergrad in school?
No, the last part of undergrad, all of graduate school.
So longer, yeah.
Long time. Didn't talk for 5 years. 2016, we all reconnected, and since then things have gotten better and better. Look at my heart.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. It's beautiful. And things have gotten better, like a lot better.
A lot better.
More like they've exceeded my expectations even.
What about you?
What about me? What about me? Knowing it's the right time, that is the question, because I think there are so many moments where we are kind of forced to come out, which is not fair. But I think a lot of people that I've talked to haven't really gotten the opportunity or the choice to pick when they come out, just because a lot of the times family can be very like combative and ask all of the questions. I came out to my parents probably 3 times. My parents were very much in denial, and I know I'm not the only person at all that has to deal with things of that nature, but with my family, my mom, she just didn't get the picture, and that was a choice that she made because things were communicated. But I had to come out to my mom about 3 different times throughout my teenage and early 20s, and
we're about due for another time.
I know. There were so many times where, because my parents are very much, the way that I grew up, they wanted to know truly everything in our lives, but at the same time, the minute you told them something that they didn't approve of, it was instantly like shame. So it was like a very traumatic experience, because they would like coax you or coerce you into telling them information to make you feel safe, and the second that you did, it was like the hammer came down. With me, I would skip around her questions for a long time. Like, I was dating my last serious relationship before Melanie. I think we dated for like 2 or 3 years before I actually told her. The first time that I came out to my parents, I was outed by my ex. So, that's a lot of tea. I was dating somebody who was not well. This person that I was dating became very obsessed and very obsessive, and like a lot of like stalker type of behavior. So like wanting to know where I was all the time, going to all the lengths to find out where I was, trying to like, she would call me 10, 15, 20 times in a row, just like all of the things. And anytime I wanted to end this relationship, I would always get the same threat. Yeah, I would always get the same threat. Well, if you do this, I'm sending a message to Karen. If you do this, I'm messaging your grandma. If you do this, and that kind of a thing. That's something that I was terrified of. So for the longest time, I didn't end like our relationship because I did not want my parents to know that I was gay yet. So when I met Melanie, it was during a time where I had attempted to take a break from this person, and she was just like not having it. While I'm with Melanie, she sent her a Facebook message with all of the photos that we had ever taken together and outed me to my mom over Facebook while my mom was working a day job. And so then I had to call my mom while she was at her job. My mom literally thought I was dying, which I guess kind of worked in my favor because being gay is better than being dead, I guess. So I had to call my mom and tell her. That wasn't the first time I had to tell her that I was gay. I think I had to have the conversation 2 other times, and none of those times felt right. And now that I look back, I wouldn't change the times that I came out to my mom, but I just don't think for me I would have ever felt like there was a right time, because my parents would have never had the right answer. Your cake balls are really, I mean, that's art. Have you shown them?
This is my rainbow.
It's looking real, oh, beautiful, beautiful. Let's get into another question. Someone said, I really want to get to know Mel and how it happened. When did the spark happen between you two, and what made you know?
The spark.
The spark. Ooh.
The first spark with many sparks.
Well, we met through Tinder.
Not one. Tinder.
So there wasn't exactly like a time where we met in person and we locked eyes and we were like seeing each other from across the room.
The grocery store.
So
it was on Tinder. I was I was just coming out of a non-relationship relationship, if you know what I mean. Situationship is that's what they call it now.
Really? Oh.
That was what?
She goes on Reddit, so she knows
4 years ago. I really wish that term had been around because non-relationship relationship is a mouthful. So I just come out of that, and that was not fun, and I was quickly losing hope in dating, and so I was just on Tinder for fun. I did not have any expectations.
Oh,
I say fun loosely too, because that's not really even fun.
Sometimes dating apps are definitely not fun.
So I came across your first picture that.
Do you remember your first? I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm really bad about that. Sorry. Continue.
I think one of the questions is, what's your pet peeve for?
Hush. I can't tell you, the last time we filmed together, I had several of my friends and my family, like my sister, messaging me like, you've got to let Melanie talk. And I do.
So anyway. The first picture that popped up on your profile was one at Slossfest, R.I.P.
Oh, yeah. Aw. It was
still really salty at Slossfest.
That's a music festival in Birmingham that we had.
So it was at Slossfest, and I just thought it was so cute, and that was about it. And then we messaged back and forth on that for a while. And
Did you look at all my pictures or just that one before you swiped?
Of course I looked at all of them.
Like, there are people who read the bios and don't read the bios.
I did not.
You didn't read my bio?
No.
You didn't read my bio?
I read your bio. I saw everything on your Tinder profile. I did not, however, stalk your social media like you did me. Anyway, so, which is fine, whatever. Do what you gotta do. And so we messaged back and forth on Tinder for a while.
Which I had to intervene. So I will say, when I remember when I saw Melanie on Tinder for the first time, and this is so lame and cheesy, but I had definitely like swiped right on several people, but it was just something about Melanie, like her photos and just even like the short little like witty statement she had in her bio that seemed
was?
I think it was one of the only white women in Alabama to...
Close. One of 6 white women who voted for Doug Jones.
Oh, because at that time we were having, was it senator election? Yeah, elections. So I was like, okay, so we know she's got good like political values, but like something about her photos, you just radiated so much warmth, and like she just looked so homey and like a person. But she also had a picture of her like kicking a soccer ball. If I can find that picture, I will insert it right here. But there was a photo of her like kicking a soccer ball on the beach, which I usually have a rule.
You remember beaches?
Yeah, wild. I usually have a rule when I was on Tinder that if someone had their like a picture of themselves in the gym or anywhere in their bio like love fitness, absolutely not, because absolutely not. That's not my jam. I'm not going to interest you. I'm kind of a glutton. So when I saw the soccer photo, I was like, oh God, hopefully she's not like super athletic and like will be annoyed by my lifestyle. But
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I loved you instantly. I didn't love her instantly, but
yeah, the first spark was first date. The first date was again, I had zero hope in humanity. So the first date was just so refreshing. It was 6 hours, I think, 5 or 6 hours of us talking at Shoe Shop.
It's a Japanese bar downtown, and I
Love
had
it.
never been, and she suggested it. And I had always dated people who thought, which no shade, absolutely no shade, if Applebee's or Logan's Steakhouse is your jam, because there's a time and place. But I want to eat not at the Applebee's every night. You know what I mean? And so when she suggested somewhere that was so hip and fun
They
and
have
new.
the best Manhattans.
There you go.
Miss
I was like,
Bars,
oh, she's
Nova
already
Bars.
adventurous. But anyway, so
Yeah,
sorry.
so no, the first spark 100% that night. Yeah.
I remember looking across the table at you like so many times that night, and just being like, this is like how I'm supposed to feel. Like this is like right. Like this is, and people always say like you're gonna know things like that, and I was like, okay, yeah, like you know, but I mean, just like the whole time, it was so like evident when I was talking to her throughout the entire night. Like you were so engaged into what I was saying, and just made me feel so like special. But yeah, so I felt a spark with her probably before the first date, though. The first time I felt a spark was just messaging, because also I was used to people dating people who really weren't that witty. I had dated one person before Melanie who was very witty. She like was very fun and funny and like very articulate. That's what I'm trying to say. But other than that person, I really hadn't dated anyone that really kept conversation going, even in just text message. And Melanie, like from the start, her first message to me was so witty and so cute.
Now that you mention it, I think the first spark had to have been when we were just messaging, because I remember telling my best friends that the day of the date that I was actually really nervous, because I had gone on a few dates before between the situationship and you, and I was not even that fun kind of nervous that you get you know, when you're gonna meet someone for the first time. I was just like, why not? I don't mean that in a conceited way at all. I just mean like it was just a neutral feeling at best. And then I remember talking to my friends being like, why am I nervous? What's happening?
Oh,
What does this
you were
mean?
nervous.
Very nervous.
Sweet.
You want to tell them what you did
Oh no.
when we
I knew this was
first
gonna
met
be
at
brought
Shoe
up.
Shop?
Okay, so I at this point had dated women, but I hadn't gone on a lot of like first dates from Tinder. I think other than Melanie, I literally had one Tinder date with a boy. And it wasn't a bad date, it just wasn't a good date, you know? So I didn't have a lot of experiences with like first dates from an app. I'm already like, I have like very chronic anxiety. I was very, very scared. And I, of course, because I'm anxious, I get to places early for things like that. And Melanie gets to places late. So it worked out. But I got there early, and truly I think because I couldn't see her right away and just like rip the Band-Aid off, I was so terrified and like shaking and nervous. And so I did what any normal human would do. And I whipped out my cell phone and turned the brightness all the way down so that no one could clock me. And I proceeded to pretend that I was on a very important business call with a magazine for my boutique that I owned at the time. And so I see her starting to walk in, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm on a phone call. It'll like help, like, which feels so rude now, but at the time I was like, oh, it'll help break the ice. And so Melanie comes in, and I'm expecting her to like, you know, be like, say hi, but not be like super like, you know, I don't know. I didn't expect her to feel that much like home from like day one, moment one. But she comes in and she's like, hi, and just the way her face lit up, it's literally the way, like, your face still lights up that way every time you say hi to me. And her face, like, I thought my heart fell through my butt. I was like, oh my God, she's so pretty in person. And so I'm literally on this phone, and as I'm like saying hi, you just like go in full like frontal hug, but in a consensual way. It wasn't like bear claw. And yeah, she just like went in for like the most warm hug, and I was like, absolutely, I don't need to be on this call. So then I proceeded, as you were guiding us to our table, to hang up my phone call. But that was the first thing that I did. I feel like we should show our progress so far. Oh, look at your rainbow. I love the little clouds. Cute. I just like totally fingered your ball.
I think that answers another question.
My heart is a little wonky. Have you seen it?
Oh, it looks like a real heart. Anatomically
it's realistic.
Correct.
You're
Yeah.
sweet. So this is what we have so far. Most of the footage when I'm not talking is just me licking my fingers. I'm so sorry.
No.
A few people asked how to cope with the disapproval of family.
Drink a little more of that rum and coke.
Yeah.
You get gay points if you know who sings that.
Wait. Rum and Coke. Is that Kesha?
Drink a little more of that rum and
Coke. Oh, Fletcher. Okay.
Kesha.
Right. I'm thinking of brushing my teeth with a bottle of Jack.
Oh, that makes me more. I
From
love
two
talking
different-
about coping skills.
Oh yeah. Again, in case you missed our first video, go back and watch it if you'd like. We kind of dive into a little bit more of like our use. But Melanie is a therapist, so in the mental health field. So she loves and talks about coping skills with a lot of people. I'm gonna give my very educated answer,
Okay.
and then I'll let you give your concise answer. For me, I feel like how you cope with things is something, it evolves, and sometimes how you've coped in the beginning is not going to look like how you're coping with it years down the road, and you learn a lot. I wish that I knew what I know now, but doesn't everyone? I'll just speak on my experience of how I've coped with it. Just so everyone knows, I don't have any contact with my parents, my grandparents, and most of my extended family. The only family members that I do still communicate with and have very good relationships with, I'm getting a little nervous, are my sister and my brother and a few cousins. So that is just like that information. But it wasn't always like that. When I first came out a few years ago, in my mind, I had so much internalized hatred for myself and shame, because I did grow up in conservative's not even the right word. It's more like I grew up in like almost like a cult-like environment. There were not a lot of outside influences or voices. Critical thinking, not a thing. I hated myself for like the way that I loved people. I'm pansexual, so I've never really been attracted to a certain gender. It's just kind of like person to person. Because I had such a bad relationship with self-love at that point, I was honestly fine with my parents like just at least not saying they hated me. Like in my mind, I was like, if you just still like me or want to see me at all, like that's a win. And I don't think that way now, but at the time, because of the environment that I was in, I was just happy that they didn't hate me, you know? And so I tolerated a lot of things in the beginning that I shouldn't have. I spent years away from the partners that I was dating on holidays. I wasn't allowed to bring anyone around. I also had so many times where my parents would sit me down and say the most shameful, hurtful things to me, and I thought that was okay. I thought that was like justified for my behavior. So for a long time, I tolerated that, and it wasn't until I met you and I really started thinking outside of this small, closed-minded bubble that I had always thought in, and I knew that I am a good person, and it's truly like just fine to love who you want to love, and like, you're so sweet. And so I kind of had two choices for me and my family. If you're like me and you have family that you know is never going to come around, like there are people, and Melanie can talk a little bit about hers, but with Melanie's family, they are in a place where they are evolving. But with my parents and grandparents, that was just not, I knew that was never, it was just never going to be that way. And so for my decisions, it was either be okay with having this person in your life, but never being able to fully live who you are 100% and always be ready to be like verbally abused, or you just don't have that communication at all. And for me, like when you're raised in a very closed bubble and you don't have, like I was homeschooled, so I didn't have a lot of people outside of my family that I had relationships with. Like not having a relationship with my parents felt like the most traumatic thing. Like I couldn't even imagine what that would look like. But it wasn't until I just cut off all communication and all relationships with them that I've been able to just like breathe, and I feel happier and less, like the anxiety that I don't feel is just, it like is so crazy to me. So for me, how I've coped with it is to understand that not having a relationship with my parents is not my fault, and knowing that, you know, I've done the best that I can to preserve that relationship, but if I'm not going to be protected, I have to create a boundary. Boundaries is what Melanie has always taught me. I knew no boundaries when I first met her. I let my parents do, say, and think however they wanted to about me, and I respected my elders because that's what I was taught. I think there was a period of time where I grieved the loss of my parents, and that was really hard. But I've gotten to a place where I'm happy, and I don't cry every day because of that lost relationship, but I'm happy because I can finally live a life I've always wanted to. So yeah. What is your like relationship like with coping?
So the most important thing I would say for me and anyone is to get support. That's the number one thing. I know my friends, hello Aaron and Leah, they're my very best friends, and they're going to be on my side of the wedding.
Yes.
They were beyond helpful. That having somebody that loves you unconditionally for who you are and celebrates who you are, what you're doing, who you're with, the relationships you're in, all of that is, you have to have that to, I mean, I think that's the most important thing. Everything else is kind of take it or leave it, but that is something that you have to have. Even though my family has evolved a good bit, there are still a lot of
awkward moments,
emotional deficits. You know, we're getting married this December, and if I were marrying a male, my mom would have asked me about 2,000 questions by now, and I haven't had any questions. She does know that we're engaged, but that's just how, that's the ongoing struggle, is those moments where you know that they're not fully engaged in what you're doing, and especially who you're with. It's been wonderful having moments where, like, I know my mom loves you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She
so
talks,
kind.
She talks to her more than me, which is fine.
I love her mom.
So anyway, I know that that's there, but there's still a lot of just, there was a barrier there to connecting even more the way that I want to. I expect to feel sad. I expect that to come in waves. The waves of sadness, you have to kind of embrace it, and that's the only therapist-y thing I'll say, but you have to embrace that. That's part of life. If you embrace it, it's much easier to cope with. First of all, does anyone remember
those earrings?
Earrings? I had a light bulb that was like that.
There's a meme that's like, if you had earrings that would look like this, you're gay now. And I just want to say, in case anyone is watching this that is coping with non-supportive family, and you are so torn about creating a boundary, when I tell you I was the epitome of no boundaries, like I was the person who would never have imagined a life without talking to my mom every day. I mean, we texted every day, we called every day. I went over to my parents' house at least once a week. I was very codependent on that relationship, and setting the boundaries that I have so that I can live an anxiety-free life I wouldn't go back. I would do the exact same thing over and over again, and I would do it sooner. So if you're at that place where you're just like not sure that that decision is for you because you don't see how it could be possible, it is possible.
The cool thing about boundaries, you know what that is?
What?
You can change them whenever the
That's true. If things got better, like her parents became more accepting, then you adapt. On to the fun questions we're gonna do, because we've been a little bit chatty now for a minute. Shocker. We're gonna move along to some speed round fun questions, because a lot of y'all asked some spicy little questions. Also, we've moved on from our cake bombs, and we are now strawberrying. We've got some Ghirardelli chocolate, and thanks to TikTok, I learned that you can put coconut oil in the melted chocolate, and it makes it so shiny. So we've got some shiny milk chocolate here, and we're gonna dunk while we talk. Very sensual.
Dunkaroo.
What is one pet peeve about each other, followed by one thing you really love about each other? You can go first. I'll dunk.
I can find another one since we already talked about you interrupting me.
But is that your main pet peeve about me?
Oh, let me think.
I'm sure there's tons, but I'm a very flawed person.
No, you're not. Let's go with that, because there are a lot of
She's
times.
like, safe answer.
There are a lot of times when we're with friends and I'll be talking. She'll swoop in. Sometimes about not the same topic at all, so different topic, and I'll just kind of sit there. It happened last week, actually. I was sitting there and I was still going because I was waiting to see if you would stop eventually, and you didn't.
Oh no.
So anyway, what's your pet peeve?
So I have a few. The first thing that literally makes me so angry.
One. They asked for one pet peeve.
Is Melanie, literally, if you tell Melanie she has to be somewhere at 6:30, she starts getting ready to leave at like 6:25. Like, she makes me late to everything. And now I do the whole thing where if I know, how is it?
Good.
If I know we have to be somewhere at 7, I'm gonna tell her that we have to be there at 6. Because if we're running late, it's fine. We won't harp on it, but you know, you and Aaron both are always late to everything. So I don't wanna hear it. One other little thing, Melanie is one of the most intelligent people I've ever talked to. She's witty. She's one of those people who is not only intelligent in the fact that she knows a lot of random things and a lot about everything, but she's also got really good common sense. Because a lot of the times people can be really intelligent, but they're also like really disengaged and unaware. And Melanie is not that. But Melanie loves to tell me a lot of facts about things that sometimes
You don't care about.
I don't. But I do the 2 thing, and I care about her, so I want her to always feel heard. So even if I don't care, I really try to
That
engage.
was my thing I was going to say that I love about you.
Really?
Because it goes with...
Aww.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of
Aww.
you interrupting is when you actually do indulge me and talk about
because
stocks.
I can tell that you enjoy it. Like the thing, yes, stocks,
Game
or
stuff.
just like random pop culture things that I really don't, care much for because I don't know much about. But like Melanie, she is an Enneagram 5, and I don't know if anyone does Enneagram, but they're like all about like knowledge and research and information. And so one of Melanie's love languages is being able to look something up and then share that with other people. So I try to
That's
really
very
listen
sweet.
and be
Yeah.
attentive to you.
That's the thing I love about you.
I love so many things about you, honestly, and I've said this, I can't remember if I said this in my last video, but I've said this to Melanie quite a lot. When I envisioned the person that I would want to marry and spend life with, I always like thought about wanting to be with somebody who loved me in a very like childlike kind of love, where, you know, kind of like when you're kids or when you're having your first crushes, being with someone that you have a crush on is so easy. You're very playful. You engage in like the most random things, but also the big things. And from day one of me like meeting you and talking to you, you have been so playful with me, but also so incredibly like overly affectionate and kind. Like you kind of come across, I think, sometimes as someone who's like not stern, but you come across as someone who's a little more like
serious.
I don't know, but with me, Melanie is so gushy and so kind, and she literally gives me 5 compliments every hour and like tells me she loves me truly all the time, but it's not something that she just like is throwing out. You can tell it's like coming from inside, and like just that I just love like how how playful and affectionate you are with me. It makes me feel so special. And
You should.
yeah. Spicy question. Who is the sassiest,
Both, I
kinkiest
think.
in the bedroom?
Both.
think
I would say
both.
both.
I think both. Yeah. If you're not 18, then just click out of this part. For the next 30 seconds, just click out. Don't watch. Don't watch. What?
30 seconds.
I'm gonna be quick. I've never loved the stereotype that there has to be like tops and bottoms. I just think, especially because I'm an Enneagram 2 and I want everyone to feel loved and cared for. I feel like if I'm gonna have a great time, then you should also have a great time.
Don't put us in a box.
No, so
don't put anyone in a box.
yeah, I think we joke around all the time that Melanie's the alpha in the relationship and things
'Cause
like
I
that.
I'm the boss.
No.
I make the rules.
Okay. But yeah, I think we both are switches. I will say, being with Melanie, we were just talking about this last night, and this is more like a sweeter aspect to intimacy, but the thing that I love most about Melanie and I is like it's really fulfilling and vulnerable when you can have those like really sassy moments with somebody, but in the same moment like make a joke or laugh, or, you know, not take things too seriously. You know, intimacy can be, especially if you're like me, and I waited a really long time to have sex. I was like 23 when I had sex for the first time. So for me, it was a very like nerve-wracking and vulnerable thing to do. And so the fact that I can feel so comfortable to really go out there, but also make fun of myself at times. I mean, yeah, it's vulnerable. Next question. How can we support friends who are coming out to us? I really want to make one of those things for Instagram that is like a slide, and it's like things that people say but what they really need to say, kind of an ordeal with anything with coming out or LGBTQ questions. I've had so many affirming friends say this statement, and when I tell you that it's triggering, it's not fun. Like, I will come out to somebody. Oh, my sister's calling me. I'm calling my T. Like I was saying, the thing that people have said to me that's so triggering when they really are not disapproving of what I'm telling them, I'll be like, hey, so-and-so, I just wanted you to know, because they'll be like, do you have a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And you'll be like, oh, no, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm actually, I have a girlfriend. And the thing that people say that drives me crazy is, oh, cool, well, I'm not one to judge. And don't say that, because, ooh. My thing with that is I know that is coming from a good place. I'm not one to judge, but that statement alone goes back to the all like elephant in the room of thinking that type of behavior is something that should be judged or that should have like come into question. By telling me that you don't judge me, it's implying that what I'm doing could be wrong, but you don't care. And I think people don't mean that when they say they're not judging. They really probably, especially when I've said this to affirming people, they just mean that like, oh, you know, whatever, it's whatever. But so instead of saying, oh, great, I'm not one to judge, replace that, please, with saying, I'm just glad that you're happy. I'm happy that you're happy.
It's kind of like when people say, oh, I knew you were gay, or something
yeah.
like that.
Oh, I got that vibe, which I mean, I have done that before.
Yeah,
but.
which it's fair, whatever. That some people, it appears to be more obvious than others. But just say thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, thank you for telling me. I'm happy that you're happy. For anybody that I'm coming out to, it literally the thing that you can say to me that makes me feel so validated and so cared for is just, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you're happy. Or I can tell that you're happy. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
Get that out of your vocabulary. The whole I don't judge, get it out. Throw it out there. We're not using that anymore. I think that about wraps up all the questions.
Thank you for the questions.
Well, yes, thank y'all so much for sending questions in. There were more questions that were a little bit more in depth that I feel like I've already talked so much in this video. Maybe we can do another part 2 or something and answer.
Next year.
Yeah, next year, next Pride. I'm just really thankful that you did this with me because I know that this isn't necessarily your comfort zone. And we both have one strawberry left, so I feel like we should dip it together and cheers to our lovely people on the other side of that screen.
Yes.
I'll share my chocolate pool with you.
I think if everyone had a love like we do, and yeah, it's cheesy, but whatever, it's true. If everyone had a love like we do, then the world would be so much better.
Yeah, moral of the story, don't let someone treat you like trash. Find someone that actually appreciates you because there are people out there that will.
Can you imagine if our politicians had love like us?
Oh.
It would be so much better.
We'd be getting all the stimulus checks. Heaney. Cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers to a better year this year. Knock on wood. If you have anything that you'd like us to do in the future, please leave them down below. And subscribe.
Bye.
Bye. You're so adorable.
Unacquainted with love that well, it's a game